Good afternoon, thank you. Buenas, 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 don half a day. Buenas tardes, don half a day, good afternoon, and welcome, of course, to the Rotary Club of Guam. My name is Lee Udine. I am one of the past presidents here at the Rotary Club of Guam and the Dean of the College of Natural and Applied Sciences at the University of Guam. This, as you know, is our fourth forum that the Rotary Club of Guam has held over the last month. This particular event today deals with two individuals. One, of course, who is currently the Congresswoman Madeleine Bordallo that sits in the Washington office, and Margaret Metcalfe, who is representing the Republican Party as a candidate for that current position. I have, as we've done in the past, provided the questions that each of these individuals will be responding to. I've asked each of them will come up here initially to give a 4-minute presentation on who they are and, of course, why they want to run for this particular office or currently in the office, and then, of course, a little bit about why the voters of Guam should vote for them. And then we will move into the question aspect of the forum. There are 4 questions. I'll read each one of them out loud to everybody. And as I said, both of these individuals have these questions, had these questions for the last few days to respond to them. And then if time permits, I will allow either 1 or 2 questions from the audience at the end. Instead of flipping a coin today, I asked the 2 individuals to take a piece of paper. The Congresswoman picked number 1 to come up here to give her presentation first. So I will ask at this time, Congresswoman Madeleine Bordallo to please come up to the podium and give her presentation. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jehu, the president of the Rotary, and Dr. Lee Udine, our MC this afternoon, and to all the Rotarians and their families, good afternoon. I want to thank the Rotary Club of Guam for their hospitality in hosting this afternoon's event. Together with my family, I arrived on Guam shortly after the war, and I fell in love with the culture and the people of Guam. I stayed and married Ricky Bordallo, who instilled in me a passion for public service. So for 27 years, I dedicated my life to serving to nonprofit organizations and community programs and founding many of these organizations. And for the last 38 years in elected office. I know you're all business people in here, so you do the math. I've been here for a pretty long time. But I have a strong career in public service that includes serving 5 terms in the Guam legislature, 2 terms as First Lady, 2 terms as Lieutenant Governor, and as your delegate to Congress for the last 12 years, 6 terms. I have worked with many of you, and you know my record, and you know the progress that we have made on issues that are important to our island. My opponent is new to this, so she won't have a record to compare with mine. If we were playing golf, to be fair, you would have to add some strokes to my score, maybe a lot of strokes. But as Ronald Reagan said in his presidential campaign, I want you to know that I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience. Over the years, Guam has had its fair share of challenges and opportunities. As your delegate, I remain committed to building a stronger economy that gives businesses a fair opportunity to succeed and to create jobs for our people. During my tenure in Congress, I have attained a key senior position as a ranking member of the Subcommittee on Readiness in the House Armed Services Committee. My leadership position and the relationship I have built are critical to moving forward with the military buildup to ensure stability and security for Guam and the Asia Pacific area. Throughout my tenure as your delegate, I have built relationships and made friendships with many key policymakers, both in the administration and in Congress. I have also encouraged officials to visit Guam so they can learn firsthand about our issues, including former VA Secretary Eric Shinseki, Attorney General Eric Holmes, and Chair on the Council for Environmental Quality, Nancy Sutley. I have also brought over 100 members of the U.S. Congress to Guam to hear directly from our community and to learn about our issues. This includes Democratic Whip Steny Hoyer, former Armed Services Chairman Ike Skelton, current Armed Services Chairman Buck McKeon, VA Chairman Jeff Miller, and Government Reform Chairman Derek Issa. Friends, this election isn't just about now. This election is about knowing where we came from and creating a vision for the future. I am running because Guam is in a position in Congress where leadership, seniority, and relationships I have nurtured and make all the difference in achieving and building on the progress we have made over the years. We cannot afford at this most important moment for Guam to start from the beginning. Thank you again for your opportunity to speak with you, and I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much, Congresswoman. And now I'd like to also ask the podium, and please give a round of applause to Margaret Metcalfe.
Buenas and half a day. I want to thank the Rotarians for giving us the opportunity to get to know each other a little better. I want to first of all say, don't let appearances deceive you. I am a local girl. Growing up in BPM Camp 1 during the 50s, I watched as my father worked alongside his Filipino crews rebuilding our island after the total devastation of World War II. He continued to work with these men on contracts at different military bases around the globe until his death in 1979. My mother, a McDonald from Magana Heights, a school teacher since before the war, continued to teach after the war, helping all of our young people readjust. I attended Weddingale, San Vicente, and I am a graduate of the Academy of Our Lady, 1966. I served as Miss Guam, 1967, traveling on behalf of our island as one of our delegates abroad and bringing goodwill from our people. I went on from there to graduate from the University of San Francisco with degrees in accounting and economics. And I have served over 45 years in wonderful industries as accounting, banking, business, finance, and real estate development. After raising our boys here in Tamuning, my husband and I chose to purchase Ave Maria from the Marianists in Chaminade, and for the last 23 years have served the Catholic communities throughout the U.S. and the Pacific Rim. Following the death of our parents, Chris and I chose to return home and serve our community. We wanted to give our families here a choice. In regards to this, I would like to seek your approval to serve you and bring your voices to Washington. You just need to look around to see that our friends and our families and our island are hurting. Those who know me know that I am determined to readdress and resolve issues concerning, one, the destructive effects of the all-consuming compact of free association. Two, the crippling effects to our economy and cost of living being subjected to live under the Jones Act. 3, our elusive war reparations. 4, adequate and timely medical care and Pacific options for our seniors, for our veterans, and for all of us here on island. Politics is about making promises to get elected. I am not a politician. I am a successful businesswoman where when you make a commitment, you keep it or lose your job. I will provide clear communication and basis for any proposed legislation, its short and long-term effects. I will encourage and invite your thoughts and input before mandates are imposed. I believe all of us are here for a short time. Every moment we have is a gift from God. Please make your moment count. Guam's time is now. Sidu'us Ma'asi.
Brought to you by Triple J, celebrating 30 years of putting our customers first.
Get a head start on your holiday shopping. Take advantage of GTA's Samsung Galaxy promotions. Now for a limited time, get the S5 for only $99 or the S4 free. The holidays are fast approaching, so start shopping at GTA and start connecting to the ones you love. Get a head start on your holiday shopping. Take advantage of GTA's Samsung Galaxy promotions. Now for a limited time, trade up to an S5 for free when you trade in your current smartphone. The holidays are fast approaching, so start shopping at GTA and start connecting to the ones you love.
Growing up on Guam was absolutely ideal because you knew everyone in every village, never having to lock a door, riding around the island, sitting in the back of a pickup truck on Sunday after Mass, going out to the ranch. We were blessed with so much of family and friends. This is the type of memory I would like for each of us to be able to share with our children. We have some serious realities that we have to face. Our Manumko have suffered for decades, waiting and praying for their reparations that they have been promised time and again. Our veterans have waited for decades. So many of them have received more hardship than help. It is important that we address the compact and the destructive effects it is having on our culture, our economy, and our way of life. With the repeal of the Jones Act, we would have extra money in each and every one of our pockets to enjoy our lives and spend differently. If we want to have something different come out of Washington, we need to make a different choice this November 4th. We cannot allow our chair to be empty, our voice not to be heard. I am not a career politician. I am a successful businesswoman, and I'm here to serve you and get the job done. I am Margaret McDonald Glover Metcalfe. I am Chamorro. Guam is my home. I hear you, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Guam has the largest deepwater port in the Western Pacific, handling over 2 million tons of cargo each year. As the sole gateway to our neighboring islands, the port is a transshipment hub servicing all of Micronesia. It is the entry point of 90% of goods into Guam. Thanks to a visionary modernization program, Guam is now poised for the next wave of economic expansion. Every day, your port is working hard to keep our island goods and services flowing for you, the people of Guam.
Guam United accomplishes more. Buenas, ladies and gentlemen. This is Judy Gutherts. I'm number 6 on the ballot. I really need your help this election. I believe in giving Guam good government, and I also believe in working with all of Guam's leaders, because Guam United accomplishes more. Please go out and vote on November 4. And remember Judy Gutherts, number 6.
Hafaday Guam, I'm Tsunami McKenna. I'm Janessa Quick of the disaster team. Let's talk about earthquakes and tsunamis. So what is a tsunami? It's a series of traveling waves. Tsunamis are caused mostly by earthquakes and can happen within minutes and without warning. Tsunamis can be small or as tall as a coconut tree. Earthquakes and tsunamis can be quite scary, but the better prepared you are, the safer you'll be. In case of an earthquake, drop, cover, and hold on. After the shaking stops, quickly get to higher ground because a tsunami may be coming. Remember, the beach is a danger zone during tsunamis. Get away from the beach, go inland, or get to higher ground. Especially, keep in mind to follow the tsunami evacuation route signs to a safe assembly area nearest you. Thanks, McKenna. Thanks, Janessa. The next step to being prepared is to meet with your family and make a family disaster plan. For more information, visit ghs.guam.gov.
We'll now move to the 4 questions that the Rotary Club of Guam has asked these both individuals to respond to. I would now like to call up Mrs. Metcalfe to answer the first question, and then the Congresswoman will answer it secondly, and then we will reverse the order for question number 2 and question number 3 and then question number 4. So the first question that was posed to each of these 2 individuals was this: what is your view on compact impact of free association?
Thank you. Imposed in 1986 without benefit of our thoughts or input, the Compact of Free Association continues to threaten our culture, our economy, and our way of life. The original compact provided for full reimbursement of all costs. This has not happened. Our lawmakers, the State Department, and DOD have not enforced the contract. They drafted and they imposed. Once implemented, the funding and oversight was passed on to the Department of Interior. They host a much more meager budget. Without the promised reimbursement of expenses, we have become an underpaid caregiver for other island nations, compromising our citizens' healthcare, education, safety, economic success, and ability to qualify for federal subsidies. Oftentimes, these individuals seeking a better life arrive here only to suffer more hardships than help due to our lack of resources. And yet the cost continues to soar over $100 million over what we're given, which comes out of each and every one of your pockets. Attention and pressure needs to be brought to Congress to secure the funding provided for the compact. We need to find ways to work with these other island nations to secure cooperation in caring for their citizens here on Guam. Financially, by garnering federal funding we have failed to fight for. With health and crime problems, by screening of individuals before they depart to our island. And the possibility of demanding that these islands participate in the training and orientation of our migrants. We need to seriously work on securing quotas. As our visiting Assistant Secretary to Insular Areas reported, come 2022, the funding of these island nations come to a halt. In 2003, the review of our compact and its effects, fear of mass migration was voiced. Guam had no representation at this meeting. The fear is real. Thank you.
First, let me say that many FAS citizens who have come to Guam make important contributions to our community. I continue to support the compacts, which is an important security agreement with the freely associated states. In my tenure, I was successful in increasing compact impact aid. When I came to Congress, it was $4.58 million. I escalated that to $30 million. However, I know that this is not enough assistance and that the current situation is not sustainable. I continue to work with federal officials and local leaders to find solutions to this issue. But as Assistant Secretary Kiana noted during the Guam Women's Chamber luncheon, we have to be realistic about the budget environment in Washington and the difficulty that increases must be matched with a budget offset. Alternately, I have proposed debt relief as one way to address compact impact. I was also successful in having an offset provision in the 2010 NDAA so that if Gov Guam purchases the Navy's water and wastewater system, the cost of the purchase can be offset with unreimbursed compact impact costs. And my provision to use unreimbursed compact costs as an offset for matching federal grants was included in both the House and the Senate omnibus territory bills. These are real solutions that meet the budget rules in the House and the administration and that offer us real relief. However, I do not agree with my opponent's proposal to limit FAS citizens from coming to Guam. Putting aside that this is an impractical solution that would find little support in Congress and would be opposed by the administration, renegotiating the compacts on this basis would jeopardize the security relations that we have with FAS. We should demonstrate, or we should also, why should we blame the FAS citizens and blame them? My opponent said they are destroying our culture. And the UOG forum on Tuesday, she implied that they were stealing vegetables from her uncle's farm. She also claimed at UOG that we have loose borders. Really, Chuuk is just 600 miles away by water. That's like a big moat. Enough already. We have a problem with compact impact reimbursement. My opponent has a problem with our Micronesian brothers and sisters.
The second question that we pose to both of these individuals is stated this way. What should the United States do about ISIS?
ISIS is the most barbaric terrorist group in the world. As the ranking member of the Armed Services Subcommittee on Readiness, which has oversight of contingency operations, I am very concerned about the ISA threat. ISA is a terrorist group that is a direct threat to the U.S. and our allies in the Middle East, and we must defeat them. I support President Obama's strategy to degrade and defeat ISA. Congress has voted to give the president authority to train and equip a moderate opposition force. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dempsey, has testified before the Armed Services Committee, and he stated that the strategy of combining opposition forces composed of moderates, U.S. air power, and having allies work with us is a strategy that will work. The current strategy includes the use of military advisors and special forces, but not ground combat troops. So I'm confident that this strategy, and General Dempsey stated that there will revisit this strategy if they have to and recommend other options, including ground forces, if that is needed in the future. But committing ground forces in Iraq will require a vote in Congress, and that option is not supported by the American people. I want to emphasize that our strategy against ISIS will not impact the president's long-term rebalance in Asia Pacific. Again, will not affect it. I brought this up during the Armed Services hearing in September, and Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel assured me of the administration's continued commitment to the rebalance in our area. I will continue to support the president's strategy against ISA and work with the administration to ensure that the rebalance strategy moves forward to promote stability on the Asia Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Before I answer the question on ISIS, I would like to point out that I appreciate our Congresswoman hearing our meetings and going over what we brought up. But there was some errors to what was just discussed. I have never put blame on anyone other than ourselves for allowing this to happen and allowing our government to allow this to happen, our U.S. government. These folks coming here in search of a better life are doing so and suffering more hardships than help in some instances because we don't have the resources. My family members in Agania Heights found out people were stealing their produce from their garden. They went out and found the families in the boondocks and asked them, if we give you a piece of land and put some plants on it, will you grow your own and leave ours alone? They have. We can fix this. We just have to step outside the box. Now, ISIS, a radical Islamic state in Iraq and Syria, started as an Al-Qaeda splinter group in northern Iraq. It rules by Sharia law. The group is made up of former Iraqi soldiers loyal to Saddam, who is no longer with us. Now, these folks are only here because we have a passive administration who allows these leaderships to embolden the forces against the Iraqi government and create destabilization in their areas. Our government continues to attack by airstrikes and by special forces. I am in complete support of the U.S. standing with its allies. We must destroy terror where it sits. Thank you.
Thank you both. The third question that we asked these two individuals goes like this. What should be done to improve the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, particularly on the island of Guam?
I apologize, Lee asked me to stay up. Our veterans continue to suffer nationwide. An example just as recent as the disastrous situation in Arizona, Senator McCain's territory, and he, former chairman of our Armed and Services Committee. Guam is #1 per capita in recruitment of soldiers for our U.S. military when compared to all 50 states. Guam is #1 in casualties and death in the Iraq and Afghan wars when compared to all 50 states. Guam, out of every 8 adults on this island, 1 is a veteran. Yet Guam ranks dead last when compared to the 50 states in benefits and medical care. As a candy striper at the Naval Hospital during the Vietnam War, I witnessed so very many of our injured who were so thankful just for the slightest act of kindness, far away from home, from their loved ones, and yet so hopeful. That hope doesn't persist anymore. Today I talk to our veterans and hear only pain, anger, sorrow, and despair. No one had to beg these brave souls to sign up or serve. Why must they be subjected to beg for their care? Many just give up and continue to suffer. We learn of them when their families seek burial assistance. Our veterans have waited 12 more years for help with basic and timely medical care. They have been promised this time and again. Continuing to sacrifice for all of us with no vote for their commander-in-chief. We must register all of our veterans because this is a numbers game. We need to secure more responsive clinics with signs being removed that say no walk-ins. We need to have a veterans office that has a U.S. flag and a Guam flag. We need to have a veterans office that is not on the second floor without an elevator. We need yet second opinions and acceptable health care here on island, not subjecting them to travel. We are the stewards of our island, and we will have to answer to future generations. How we treat our heroes says a lot about us.
I have been a strong advocate for veterans' issues, and I have worked to constantly improve access to health care and veteran benefits on Guam. I pushed for the construction of the community-based outpatient clinic, and I continue to work with the VA to increase the number of health professionals at the CBOC. I also have worked with the VA to include an expansion of the clinic on the VA's priority construction list. And I discussed this personally with VA Secretary McDonald just last month. I also supported legislation that was recently passed by Congress that allows veterans to seek care for non-VA facilities, from non-VA facilities, if they must wait more than 30 days for care. And it provides $10 billion to cover increased costs of obtaining care from non-VA facilities. I also work with the Navy to fund the construction of the new Naval Hospital, which retirees can use and which treats veterans referred by the CBOC. I also work with Mr. John and Pinko and military representatives from all the services to ensure that veterans who pass away receive the military honors that they deserve. I have also brought then Secretary of Veterans Affairs Eric Shinseki and House VA Chair Jeff Miller to Guam to hear directly from our veterans. Further, when I was first elected to Congress, I started a Veterans Advisory Council comprised of representatives of the various veterans organizations on Guam to advise me on issues important. The group meets regularly, and just recently we met, and has been instrumental in helping me address veterans issues in Congress. In fact, just this past Tuesday, I met with them, and we discussed the recently announced proposal to build a Western Pacific Veterans Center. I believe that this is a great idea, and I support their efforts. I have pledged to them that I will work with the VA to provide any federal assistance that may be available. Additionally, for the first time, Guam has received housing vouchers for homeless veterans. And in my congressional address in 2012, I proposed a veterans court, which was implemented with local legislation sponsored by Senator Frank Ogden, and which is slated to receive $350,000 in funds. There is much more to be done, especially on the issue of processing veterans benefit claims in Hawaii. So I will continue to work on this.
Brought to you by Triple J, celebrating 30 years of putting our customers first.
I'm sure you're both wondering why we called you to this family meeting today. We want to talk to you about everyone getting what they want while saving money.
Go on.
Introducing IT&E's Mobile Share Plan. With IT&E's Mobile Share Plan, we can get up to 4 lines with unlimited talk and text. Plus, we get 20 gigabytes of shared 4G data. And with the Mobile Share Plan, at only $150 a month, we can have our cake and eat it too.
Cake? So basically, we save more while we get more with IT&E?
Correct. So do we have a deal?
Deal.
Get the island's first mobile share plan with IT&E and get unlimited talk and text and 20 gig of shared data for only $150 a month. Plus, get 4 free phones. Visit any IT&E store to get the best shared 4G experience. This is IT&E.
Half a Day. As Guam's early childhood systems of care, Project Cariño partners with families to promote the social, emotional, and behavioral wellness of young children.
Cariño means
loving our babies.
Loving our babies means emotionally and socially strong teenagers and young adults.
Loving our babies means a healthier community.
Loving our babies means stronger families.
Loving our babies means happier homes.
Loving our babies means a better and brighter future for Guam.
Whether it's driving your car or burning power, the cost of oil has made it difficult for all of us. That's why we're working hard to help GPA switch to new generators that burn much less and more affordable fuels. And GPA is already adding large renewable energy projects to further reduce the amount of oil we use. Burning less oil, switching to less expensive fuels, and maximizing the use of renewable energy.
Let's continue our progress. On Election Day, I humbly ask for your vote. Together, we can lower the cost of power for all of us.
Paid for by Simon supporters.
This year, when you play Monopoly at McDonald's,
you're playing for more than $1 million. You're playing for greatness. The game you love is back. Play Monopoly at McDonald's for your shot at millions of prizes, including a one-on-one experience with LeBron James, Patrick Kane, Jamie McMurray, or Alex Morgan. So, what are you waiting for?
Let's play this game.
A beautiful, healthy smile is an expression of confidence. The more confident you are about your smile, the more likely you are to fully express your feelings without having to worry about the way your teeth look.
Before cosmetic dentistry, I didn't smile as much. I didn't have the confidence, and it shows. And since I've had cosmetic dentistry done, I feel 10 times more confident. I make my initial introduction with a nice big smile and a handshake, and I just feel like it really is a relationship builder, a nice warm smile, and it makes the clients and customers feel more comfortable with you, feeling confident, and they feel that you're not just there for business, that you're also there kind of as a friend as well. So I mean, it's amazing how powerful a smile can be. A good smile.
Since your smile makes a significant impression on those around you, it is important that it makes the impression you want it to make.
Hafade. I'm Senator Brent McCready. My family and I are blessed to call Guam home, and I will do everything in my power to protect Guam and our people. I continue to work with my colleagues across party lines to ensure the safety of our communities and our families. I am humbled for your confidence in making me one of your senators. Please give me another opportunity to serve you. Jesus Mas.
The last question that we pose to these two individuals is this. Do you support the military buildup? If yes, what would you do to make it more beneficial to the people of Guam? If not, why?
Thank you, Lee. I do support, and many of you in this room know that, I support wholeheartedly the buildup because I believe that it would provide job opportunities for our people and contribute to security and economic stability in our region. It will also provide significant investments into Guam with $10 billion spent over 10 years. However, I do not support a buildup at all costs. The buildup must be done right, and it must take into account the concerns of our community. It must be done in a way that protects our land, natural resources, and cultural and historical sites. The buildup must be good for the people of Guam. And at the same time, we must recognize that we have to fight for this buildup if we want it. We will be asked to make tough decisions regarding the fiery ranges, and we must be ready to work toward viable solutions. I think that we are making great progress, and the new master plan places the marine housing at Anderson, easing the need for extra land. I support the goal that there will be a net negative military footprint when the buildup is complete. And I had a provision in the NDAA 2014 that required the administration to review Guam's needs outside the fence so that all federal agencies can be directed to assist in meeting these funding needs. As the ranking member, again, in readiness, I hold a leadership position that gives me a key role to advocate for our island when matters of national security are discussed. I have worked to support programs and resources that will make the buildup successful. It was my bill that made all of Guam a hub zone and gives local businesses a fair chance to compete for federal contracts. I also consistently encourage outside investors to partner with Guam businesses. I also supported infrastructure funding to assist Guam, including working with local leaders and federal officials to secure $50 million for port improvements and $100 million for road projects. We are working with the government to have the Navy provide $300 million in federal funds to improve our water and wastewater system. And I will continue to work on and on to make this buildup a success for everyone.
Thank you. I thoroughly support the military buildup as well, and I humbly accept what our Congresswoman has offered in the way of all the assets that this will bring to our island. We have to remember, these are not just Marines. These are our Marines. We are U.S. citizens, and these folks are the best of the best, and they are willing to sacrifice even more, being away from their families, to provide our defense here in the Pacific. I strongly feel all possible options need to be reviewed to allow for the least invasive of plans. Our families who may be inconvenienced regarding rights to properties or easements or sensitive to cultural issues need to have every opportunity to discuss these issues and be a part of the process and compensated fairly for any consideration given. Comments have been made that may need to be challenged. Comments like our infrastructure can't deal with 4,000 new Marines or 6,000 new Marines. Or if we don't sign the bill, that's okay. Hawaii will take the Marines. We have open borders with over 18,000 new residents and more coming every day. During the Vietnam era, we had over 240,000 troops on island. And after World War II, 230,000 troops. Those of us who work in real estate know location, location, location. Hawaii may want our Marines, but the U.S. wants our Marines here. You've all heard and seen the old classic, A Few Good Men, with Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. Well, dear friends, we are the wall. We are not only where America's day begins, we are where America's fortifications begin. As our new Assistant Secretary for Insular Areas has stated and affirmed, there are new political players in Washington. These folks do not know who we are, where we are, and just how vital we are to them and to their way of life. Americans need to know it's time they found out.
Thank you both. At this point in time, I am going to request that just Rotarians ask the questions from the audience. We'll ask each of these individuals, you can ask them directly, and then we'll allow them to respond to this. We'll have 2 questions and 2 questions only from the Rotarians. Can I have a Rotarian? I saw your hand first. 2 minutes, I'm sorry, thank you. 2 minutes, yes, please. And you can direct it to either one.
It's to both.
Fine.
My question is, over the last 2 years, I've spent nearly 6 months in the epicenter on various projects and that sort of thing. The question is 2 parts. 1, how much time have either of you spent there to truly understand and recognize what is going on? 2, it is very obvious that there's no industry, and that is why these people are migrating, not just to here, but to Hawaii. What is the plan to improve the industry there so they have a reason to stay home? There's no education, there's no jobs, there's no health care. That's the problem. And it can't just be business as usual where we throw money at it and hope it works out. That doesn't work here at home in the US. It's not going to work there. So what is the plan for you to interface with this budget that's given to these places so it gets used to keep them home? That's the answer. And I'd like to know what your thoughts are.
I'll have Margaret, please go first.
Thank you. Very important. Thank you for your question. I have not traveled extensively through SFM. I have traveled to a lot of the smaller islands and mostly on vacations and visiting with family and snorkeling and diving and those good things. But I do know what we're facing, and that is these outer islands are receiving millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to build up this infrastructure that our dear gentleman has just brought up, to provide better education, better medical, better training so that they are more qualified for jobs when they come out here. This is not being done. Their feet are not being held to the flame. The compact is not being enforced. This is something that we must address, because everyone is suffering, in particular our folks here on island, and these folks coming out here unprepared for reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the question. I have traveled extensively to all of the islands, and my husband, when he was governor, he was the first governor to ever travel to every one of the Micronesian islands. So I'm well aware, we have many friends. And the other day I went to a meeting of Micronesian veterans that have served many, many years and were born here in Guam. And we have to take that into account. It's going to be very difficult to set a limit. It's not the American way. What we have to do is work on funding. And we have to get more money with the compact impact. Right now, for Palau, the compact money has been, it's a continuing resolution, and we're trying to get the money. We have to find an offset. But truly, these people have been good. There are some that have put in a rather a negative, I guess, a negative look at Guam, and but not for everyone. They are good citizens, and all they want when they come to Guam is just a better place to live, a better life, and we must welcome them. And I think it would be very un-American not to welcome them and try to get more money on the compact impact. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Question again. I'd like to, Van, I will go to you, I promise. But I'd like to be able to get somebody else, a Rotarian who hasn't asked a question over the last couple of weeks. If not, I'll go straight to Van, not a problem. I don't want to pick on Van, but you know, since I'm up here, why not? No, you're right. Yeah, and only allow Van 30 seconds if he asks the question. Please. All right, past President Van Shelley, floor is yours.
My question would go to both candidates, and Congresswoman candidate Metcalfe hit on it slightly in one of her responses, and that is what I consider to be the second-class citizenship of Guam. I'd like to know what either of you would or could do regarding our inability to vote for president, as example, our requirement to have to fill out customs forms and documentation and go through customs in Hawaii when we land. Those are two primary examples of what I call Guam's second-class citizenship. I'd like you to address it. They already addressed it.
Since you're sitting with us.
Since I'm sitting. I think he's got a reputation, I guess, for asking questions. This is very, very disheartening. When we all read recently, it was just in August of this year that our dear president was suggested that we were less than first-class citizens. His job is to take care of his American citizens. And instead of ensuring that we have those rights and are protected under the Constitution, takes liberties. And this is brought on by a passiveness that permeates that whole administration. I'm afraid that it is going to take a while to get this resolved, but our industries may be the ones, and our investors will probably pull more weight, bringing in the fact that to be able to send things here via the mail or FedEx or whatever, we have to have customs forms and things of that nature. We're a U.S. territory. Just because we're a few more miles out, they need to know who we are. They need to recognize who we are and our importance in the big picture. This is something that our administration in Washington has failed to do. We need to be there. We need to be there and be a force to inform people of who we are and what we need so that we can ignite the possibilities that we have out here as the door to the Pacific. We have tremendous opportunities. We just have to take advantage of them. Thank you.
I certainly agree with my opponent on this issue. Self-determination is important. If you want to see how frustrating everything is, be a member of the U.S. Congress, not being able to vote for final passage of a bill, and knowing that there are over 4 million people in the territories that are denied this right. It's truly something that I just can't accept, and I have mentioned this many, many times. I have a former employee, Mr. Neil Weir, who has started a nonprofit organization out of Washington. It's called We the People, and this is what he is going to do. He's trying to set up, it's a nonprofit group, and he wants to see that we get our rights. So I certainly have that. I think there was another question about the customs. Didn't somebody bring that up? Yeah, Guam has the authority to set up their custom rules. So on that, I would say that, you know, this is something that we can do. And several years ago, I sat on the Commission of Self-Determination. On the commission, went to Washington. We spent 10 years, $10 million trying to get a change. And then all of a sudden, we just couldn't come to grips with the federal ideas and our ideas, and it went astray. So this time we have to continue in this direction, and you have my support on that. Once we get a clear definition of our self-determination, then Guam will be able to move much quicker in a better direction. Thank you.
Okay. Very, very brief question.
Hey, he has a question if you would.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Question for both. Yeah, we talked a lot about what you're going to do or what you have done. And, you know, in today's world where we have social media and very cheap media, how come we're not going to make a lot more noise about our problems to the rest of the world? You know, I haven't heard anything from Washington saying Guam has this problem. And I think we could make that change, not just through the Congress, but by speaking out on media, representation, right? Making a big stink out of it. I think the rest of the nation would sympathize with us more. So what's your plan with media if you get it going?
Understand the question, Madeleine? Yes.
I agree with you, and I've been in Congress 12 years, and we have made a big stink about a lot of things. And I want to thank the Rotary Club and the Guam Chamber and GVB for supporting me in some of these efforts. You know, there are 15 members of the local Guam legislature. I have to deal with 541 members of the U.S. Congress. Try that, folks. And the House of Representatives has been pretty cooperative with me over the years. It's the Senate that always comes in to stop things. I don't know what it is, but there's a few Republican leaders over there that just do not want to spend the money that we're asking for in the military buildup and many other projects that we, that we send over there to the Senate. So, folks, we have had numerous organizations come to Washington to make their noise. Make your noise here. I'll carry the voice to Washington. But we know how to make noise. Okay, thank you.
you for that lovely question. Where we can make a bigger impact is engaging all of our Chamorros and Guamanians on the mainland. There are more of them than there are here. There are more of them there than there are here. What we need to do is encourage them to fight on our behalf and keep in contact with their local congressmen and senators so that we have more people leaning on those issues that may affect us here in the Pacific. In Arizona alone, there are over 600 families in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have no effect on McCain's reelection, but our families do. We need to harness this energy from these folks. Most of them are social groups, but I can tell you a lot of them are from my generation, and they're ready, they're retired, they're ready to go to work. We need their help, and it's true what our Congresswoman says. We have representation and some insight into what's going on in Congress. One thing, leave Congress, leave the House and go to the Senate. Most of our senators don't even know where we are or who we are, and the fact that we may tip over. So they defer regularly to our military, and you know darn well they know who we are, and they're going to push for what they want. We just need to be in there. We need to be a force at the table. We need to start asking for more representation and just an all-around gathering our people, our strength, all of these wise and dedicated people, and have them work for us. Thank you.
Brought to you by Triple J, celebrating 30 years of putting our customers first.
Half a day.